Welcome to Hypixel Skyblock patch 0.16. This is the Katapult for Katapult Gaming, and in this episode we're going to be going over the patch notes. So patch 0.16 has a lot of great features in it, and I think it's a bit of a redemption from the previous patch. And we'll go through things a little bit out of order, so we'll skip the Kudra for now and go to the end island changes, which I'm extremely excited about. So first of all, the lone adventurer finally found its home, and he's going to be residing in the end island. There's a quest line which will help you obtain a void sword and a dragon shortbow. So the void sword is pretty interesting, where you can have more strength based on how much end armor that you're wearing. And so it could be a pretty good early game weapon if you're using end armor. Ender armor has had a lot of changes. The first big part is it is now soulbound, so you can't sell it or trade it or give it to anybody. The drop rate has increased to 1%. And there are 4 new pieces of equipment that you can get. So the Ender Cloak is dropped from the Watchers, Ender Necklace from the Enderman, and the Enderman also dropped the 4 regular pieces of armor, so the helmet, chest, legs, and boots. The Ender Belt is from the Obsidian Defenders, and the Ender Gloves are from the shiny blocks that you can find in the end. So as you travel in the end, you'll notice some blocks have the purple particles like here. So these would be the shiny blocks. They can look like obsidian, or they can look like different other things. And actually, out of luck, we got the Ender Gauntlet out of this one already. But as we go around, we'll see this one here looks like Endstone instead. Sometimes you'll be attacked by a bunch of endermites. Sometimes you get some interesting loot out of it, so it's a lot of fun. And I got quite a lot of XP potions earlier today, so great source for those, definitely. Alright, so a couple of changes over here. So the Lost Adventurer is now over here. And when you talk to him, there are different quests that you can do. So as you go through, you'll be getting the sword and the bow, and I'm not quite sure what else you'll be getting, but that's pretty cool. And then as you go through the gate to where we used to go and kill zealots, you'll see a little hideout in the back here. So this draconic altar over here, you can sacrifice items, and it's good that I got the gauntlet earlier, so I will sacrifice it. Basically, you right click and this will give me 3 dragon essence, and I can come over here to spend the essence for some different bonuses. So there's different things like +3 combat wisdom in the end, and different interesting things like that. The one that I went for is 2 levels of the Zealot, which gives you a little bit more chance to get special zealots, which is pretty interesting. So over here you can put in your Ender armor pieces. All of them can be sacrificed, as well as dragon gear can be sacrificed. So it's a pretty cool way to get some essences. And over here you'll see 2 portals, which are for the Zealot Bruiser Hideout. So in this section over here, you'll see there are new zealots called bruisers, and they have 65k hit points instead. So if we hit with the sight, I can sometimes one-shot it if I get bonus damage, but not quite with my frozen sight. Definitely no issues with my Spirit Scepter Aurora staff, as usual, is way overkill for the price that it is. Then let's try with the Bonzo staff over here. Again, not quite enough damage with the intel I have. So these, they're definitely sturdy opponents. And then if I go with the Yeti sword, this thing just obliterates them as you would expect it to. So definitely no issues here. 800k, 900k, and so forth. So most of the time, if I can get a lobby where I'm alone, I tend to use just the Spirit Scepter. So if there's multiple mobs side by side, I can blast them all at the same time. Yeah, I'll get out of here and stop casing this guy. So yeah, we can see that really clears them out pretty nicely. And Juju, we'll have to switch to a better armor set, or a more appropriate armor set than this. I think just this, yeah. We can see definitely no issues with a Juju shortbow on getting rid of the Zealots too. So what I found is the rate to get the special Zealots, not a big difference from what I'm noticing immediately. So I'm still running some stats, but so far it looks to be somewhere around the 1 every 450-ish is how frequently I'm getting my eyes, and that's using a regular pet, so I don't have a legendary Enderman pet yet. And as we saw, I have the 4% bonus to special Zealots. So, but what makes a huge difference over here is the respawn rate is awesome, and mob density is great, and there's quite a lot of them, which is great to see. The only thing that's a little bit of a downside is, you know, you have some up and down this ramp over here. You have some more in this room. And then you have the other room over here. So, you know, once you've hit a couple of players in this area, you've kind of saturated it. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see once it gets more popular. It might get a little hard to get a good spot here, but if you're able to come at a time that there's not a lot of people, and earlier I had a pretty empty lobby for a good period of time, so I was able to kill over 4,000 of these in the space of maybe 2 hours or so. So it's a much faster kill rate than before. Previously, I spent multiple weeks trying to kill 8,000 of the old Zealots. So the fact that if we look at my bestiary for these, I'm already at 4,400 of the Zealot Bruisers. So these are getting killed really quick. And in terms of loot, as we can see, it's mostly the Ender Pearls and the Enchanted Ender Pearls. And I'm also getting the crystal fragments, the same as the regular Zealots would sometimes give. This patch has a lot of really fantastic changes, including changes to Kudra and End Island, and a lot more things added to it. So very briefly, Kudra, they have made changes to the shop, and particularly how you get points. So now if a player gets any points, they get shared with everybody else, so all players obtain the same amount. And you can spend points to develop either your Cannoneer, Crowd Control, Strategist, or Support, depending what type of player you want to focus to be. And there's a series of objectives now where you'll be retrieving the supplies from the lava, building the ballista, and loading up and shooting the ballista. And the higher tier you get, the more complicated each tier will become. And basically each stage will require extra teamwork to complete. The rest of it, if you're a Kudra player, it'd be good to take a quick look on what's included here. But basically, one note is the Tier 5 Infernal tier is not available yet, but it should be released in the near future. Now, the part I'm excited about is so if we go to Elizabeth over here, we'll see there's the Abiphone Super Shop, and you can increase your contacts by 3 for 6450 bits, or go to the Abby cases and you have the Samsung, the Rezar, and the blue Abby cases, and each of them have a couple of options that give different bonuses. And basically, depending how many bits you buy, you have different qualities of them. So this allows you to get 2 contact slots and +1 magic power per 2 contacts that you have on your phone. And this one here is when you use the phone, you only have a single ring. So I guess if you were to do some slayers and something like that, maybe it'd be practical to skip all those rings all the time. And then you have this one here that gives different wisdom bonuses depending which one you get. So you can get between combat, mining, foraging, farming, fishing bonuses, and again it gives +1 magic power for every 2 contacts that you have. And only one case will have an effect while in accessory bags, so you can't have multiple cases to try to get the different bonuses. You have the Ditto Blob that I haven't figured out what a skin skull is yet, and but basically you can make a decoration block out of it. The Matriarch's Perfume. Apparently you can get more pearls or something from the Matriarch if you use these. And then you have the black dye and the white dye, which are insanely expensive. I think they're 250k bits each, so this is going to be a major flex for players who get these. And there's now quite a lot more contacts that you can add to your phone. So there's some interesting ones where you can get Elizabeth and no longer have to go. But people have done things to forget which one it was, but I think one of these allows you to replenish the fuel on your drills. So there's quite a lot of interesting things here that some of your favorite NPCs, you can contact them remotely and then use their interfaces without having to go to them. So the fast travel menu has been redesigned a little bit, probably a little bit easier to use, where you now have a list of the zones that you can port to. And when you click on them, so if you click the Crimson Isles, for example, it'll open up all of the warps that you have available in the Crimson Isles. So I notice a bunch of places like Diane now has more options available in it. So it'll be interesting as they expand this and open up more places that you can fast travel to. They've made some changes to the powder changes, or to the how we obtain powder and things like that. Basically, There were a couple of things that were not getting buffed by the powder buffs. Now these has been fixed, and you'll get your buffs appropriately for these. And other than that, nothing really major. The front-loaded perk gets +2 base powder for your first 2,500 ores. I think before it only gave 1 base powder, so if you intend to use that, then, basically if you're not thinking of mining more than 2,500 ores a day, that could give you some pretty decent extra powder. There's a bunch of bug fixes that have been done, as in most updates. One of the interesting one is if anybody has an emerald blade, now they changed the cap on it. So if I understand this correctly, it's supposed to be capped at 2 billion, but there was a bug where it was capping it at 2 million, so now you should get your full bonus as expected. The rest of it, I think, is fairly minor unless you had one of those particular issues that you were getting hit by. So, some things like the front-loaded perk, if you try to disable it, it stayed active anyway. I don't think this affected a lot of people. They also balanced some of the recipes. So a lot of these, they reduce the quantity of things you need, or in some cases, they've changed their requirements. So water orb, now you need some prismarine crystals and shards instead of only shards. And finally, a note on future updates. So we have Garden Update Part 1 coming up at some point soon. The Skyblock levels follow up, so I don't know if this would be more things that we can do to obtain Skyblock levels or more perks that we'll be getting from them. The Wizard Portal will open at some point, and we'll see where it brings us to. It'd be interesting to see if it's like a mirror universe kind of thing, would be my guess. And some things that are coming much later down the road, as the Garden Update Part 2 and the Forging Update looks like that could be longer too. So we'll see how it goes. Typically, we don't get a whole lot of warning until the updates come in. So, but they've been, I think, stepping up the frequency of them. Every couple of months, we get something major. So, wouldn't be surprised if sometime between now and the holiday season, we might be getting one of these whenever it's ready. So, very briefly, Kudra. They have made changes to the shop, and particularly how you get points. So now if a player gets any points, they get shared with everybody else, so all players obtain the same amount. And you can spend points to develop either your Cannoneer, Crowd Control, Strategist, or Support, depending what type of player you want to focus to be. And there's a series of objectives now where you'll be retrieving the supplies from the lava, building the ballista, and loading up and shooting the ballista. And the higher tier you get, the more complicated each tier will become. And basically each stage will require extra teamwork to complete. The rest of it, if you're a Kudra player, it'd be good to take a quick look on what's included here. But basically, one note is the Tier 5 Infernal tier is not available yet, but it should be released in the near future. Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, leave them in the box below. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.